Welcome to the Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we'll have a talk about a Linux project or center around topics about something in the Linux and open source world. It could be a distribution, desktop environment, or an application, maybe an application theme. We also discuss news and take topics from anywhere around the world for an enjoyable chat. Anything that is Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, a Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me, I have a great panel of accountable partners, let's call it that. Vash, Sravan, Colin, Dan, Mark, and Jinda. Thank you for being here, and thank you all in the YouTubes for being there as well. So how is everybody?
Good.
So on the docket for today, we have our application Appetizer, which is going to be a multimedia application, so I didn't fix that in my notes. I'm going to check on what's on the menu for next week. We'll do a news flight, a community free pour if there's time, and last call. So first, and I didn't clear this before we started the show, what have you been doing in Linux? Vash, I know you just released another video, and so I'm going to put you on the spot here because I got to have somebody say something. So tell us about that last video you put together.
Yeah, just a quick, I'm starting a series about Plasma Desktop and just trying to go through a lot of the settings and looking for tips and things like that, because there are so many layers upon layers of settings in Plasma that it's probably a good time for me to review them. And I feel like that'll be something for new people to look at as well.
And this was specifically around the window edges and corners and stuff like that, things that you can do to improve your interaction with Plasma.
Yes, this is around the screen edges settings. I don't know what the actual setting was called. I want to say it was called Hot Corner at one point, but the corner, the thing where you move the mouse up in the corner, was one of the most annoying things that I had about Plasma back when I used a higher DPI mouse. And so that was one thing I learned really quickly, was how to disable that. So I wanted to kind of go through that setting menu first, and we'll see where we go from there.
I sent you a screenshot of that earlier today, but I used 3 hot corners. Actually, I was using, or 3 zones. I was using 4 for a little while to like have KRunner pop down when I just moved the mouse to the top of the screen. But I found it kept popping down on me way too often, so that didn't work for me. But I use, in each corner, I have one that shows all applications and one that just shows for the current desktop. And then in the corner, instead of having to click in the applications menu, if I just go down to the corner where the application launcher is, it then launches the application menu for me. So it allows me to be lazier every time by one click, and I appreciate that.
Well, see, and I think the thing is, I do most of my driving by keyboard as much as I can. So that's probably why I didn't like it as much, because I would just barely touch the mouse, and the mouse is using some kind of, like, at that point it's probably using like a 12,000 DPI. Yep. And it would just end up in the corner, and so it would drive me crazy. But like I say, I don't really use a lot of the mouse commands. But I'll have to look at it a little bit more now that I've switched over to a trackball.
Oh, you're gonna use a trackball?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
So what type of? You got a laptop with a trackball? Is it a laptop?
No, I have a desktop. I don't.
Oh, you just got a trackball that you added on. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Nice.
I might be a review of that coming up at some point.
I think you should. I'm trying to understand the. You're not the first person that uses a trackball that I know of. There's somebody else that I saw use a trackball, and it kind of made me a little bit crazy. Like I couldn't use their computer. So what attracted you to the trackball?
Well, between work and just everything else, I'm on a computer a lot. So moving a mouse around with your wrist is just not that great. And so you instead have your hands stay still, and you just use your fingers to manipulate the trackball or the clicks.
I guess that makes sense. I use the track point on a laptop, so I guess it can't be any worse than that as far as like usage, I suppose.
I'd like to see a video on that actually, Vash. That'd be interesting to see what you're using.
Yeah, I also want to. I need to do a little bit of research on, like, I know there's some extra buttons that I just haven't really messed with, but there's 1 or 2 that I really want to kind of get set. There's a option I found that sounds like it'd be pretty cool, so I want to do a little research. But yeah, that's in the cards at some point here.
because I find that when I'm editing videos and I'm doing something in GIMP or something like that, manipulating photos, like you're trying to get you're trying to be accurate, and your wrist does get very stiff when you're doing that quite often. So yeah, the mouse can sort of give you a little bit of a stiff wrist after a while, I must admit.
You can use the mouse like this. Hello, computer.
Yeah, but
Dan over there has that voice control.
even with a trackpad, isn't using a keyboard more ergonomic for most people?
I don't know about replacing a mouse with a trackpad. I actually do have an ergonomic keyboard as well because, again, I'm typing all day long.
I spend a lot of time on the computer as well. Not as much the last few months because I've been outside a lot, sweating in the sun.
Trackballs are really nice, but it takes some time for you to kind of bond with it.
Ever used a space mouse?
I have seen that, but I have not used one.
Yeah, I like my space
Sounds
mouse.
really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Now, Jinder, you do probably some engineering things with a space mouse. Is that why you use it?
Yeah, Autodesk Inventor. I use my space mouse continuously. I don't know what else you can really use it for besides 3D modeling. I mean, sure, I do use it in other applications, but just basically to zoom in and zoom out. I don't know what else you would really use it for.
That's another thing I tried to use that I couldn't get the hang of. So, Colin, what have you had going on this past week? Anything real exciting?
I've been creating a video for Spiral Linux. I did talk about that a few weeks ago, I think. Spiral Linux based on Debian gives you most of the codecs and backported firmware out of the box. It gives you a stable Debian release and just has all that extra stuff that new users don't need to necessarily worry about. So I've just been doing that. I've just finished editing the video, but I've got to add something in there because I missed something. So, but yeah, Spiral Linux, I just thought I'd give that a bit of a look around and see what that was all about. And it's quite an interesting project. And the guy who does it also does all these spins for Spiral Linux with different desktops. He also is the same guy who does the spins from OpenSUSE.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
He does a Gecko or Gecko. Gecko Linux.
Gecko Linux. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So he's decided to do. Apparently he finds Debian very interesting, very flexible, but to give it to other users, he finds it that Debian itself is very hard to find, hard to download, hard to find anything on the website. A lot of what can you say, research to be done to get it up to speed for a normal user, right? So he's basically put most of that stuff in the background where you don't have to worry about all those things. So yeah, it's an interesting project. So I'll be hopefully uploading that maybe today or tomorrow.
Yeah, are you producing more? Because you took a break there for a little bit. Are you kind of getting back in the swing of things? That you feel like a little like a refresh from taking a vacation?
Well, I didn't. I took a break, but I was still doing stuff, but just research stuff and just enjoying rather than just doing. I think I just got fed up with editing videos. It gets very monotonous after a while, and it just wears you down. So I think just doing things and researching stuff and just enjoying things on Linux rather than just video editing. So I think that's where my break was a little bit. I'm still editing videos, but I'm not doing it. I'm not totally focused on it. So I could do an hour here and an hour there during the week, and I don't spend hours trying to get it all done in one go. So that's the change that I've made. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of not burning out or preventing the burnout.
Yeah.
Reducing the rate of burnout anyway. Not trying to wear yourself down to the nub.
That's it.
And Colin, to that point, one thing I'm actually playing around with is a Pomodoro timer, just to see if that's something that I end up liking. Because otherwise, I'll sit there for 2.5 hours, and it's like, oh, now it's 2.5 hours later. Great.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Vash, it can go past so quick. Like I'll get home from work, do some video editing, and all of a sudden, you know, the missus is saying it's dinner time. It's what? You know, time just goes. It's like you're in some sort of time capsule that pushes you forward in time. You know, and I'm already forward in time compared to you, blokes. So I don't want to go much further forward.
But at least you can tell us how good or bad the future is, though. There is that. So you do have that going.
Yeah. Stay where you are. All right.
I'm just glad we don't have, you know, gaming nights, because Colin would just know everything that everybody's going to do in those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can't play poker with him because he already knows what your hand is. That's great.
Also, speaking of Spider Linux, I think on the DL and Discourse forums, me and Nate were talking with the developer regarding the GUI apps. He heard our previous episode on me talking about Python and Qt.
Mm-hmm.
So he was suggesting something called Zenity. So we had a good discussion there about because again, as he said to you, Colin, like he needs to develop apps to make Debian more usable. So he does that using a simple tool called Zenity. So you can write simple GUI apps right in Bash. So he heard our episode on me talking about Python and Qt, saying if you want he was suggesting to me like a simpler solution, which is Zenity. But in Mpdevil we use something called YAD, which is short form of yet another dialog. That's also like used for writing simple applications in Bash. So if anyone wants to write like simple apps to just as like a button for your scripts, which you want to run daily, Zenity and YAD are good options because you can literally write a simple app in like 10 lines of Bash. Like it's not hard. And you can find several examples on the internet about how to write simple GUI apps.
That sounds pretty cool because I've got a few scripts I wouldn't mind to have some nice, well-presented buttons for, which would be cool. So maybe I need to look into that.
Discussion, go to the discourse.destinationlinux.network and you'll find our discussion there.
Yep, I can. I'm going to beat Jinda to it. Watch this. Look at that. Look at that, Jinda. I put it in the chat before you got to it. I gotta have one, you know. Gotta give me at least one success.
God, you're showing off, man.
With that one.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I did forget to send you a link. I know you did tell me, Nate, to send you links when I upload stuff, and I keep forgetting. But I did do a video the other week on Rizzy OS as well.
Okay.
Which is that Fedora-based one. That is actually an awesome distro. They've done a really great job on that, and very impressive, I must say, to get in the world of Fedora without having to worry about all the other headaches. The little tools that they've introduced within Rizzy is pretty cool. So I was rather impressed.
That is very cool. I haven't seen that video yet, but I'm behind in all my podcasts right now. Like pretty much.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's very hard to watch everything, to be honest. There's so many Linuxy stuff around.
Yep. It's
very hard to get on top of everything, to be honest.
Well, it's just, you know, things just get in the way right now. But yeah, that's a sometimes it's hard to stay on top of everything.
Yep.
Or sometimes I'll like listen to it while I'm doing manual labor, but it's hard to really see, you know, like your videos are more visual, you know, than you're not just talking about something. I want to see it, so I have to, you know, set aside some time to actually watch it.
That's what makes them fun.
Listening,
visuals,
like, imagining what they're actually.
Yeah, the visuals keep your inner cortex in your brain thinking about what's going on the screen.
Yeah, I can see that.
If you're going to listen to something, you just might as well put on a podcast.
Yep, and I do listen to some podcasts. They just have like a, they put on
For
YouTube.
Me, it'd be a vinyl record because I don't do podcasts. But
well, it's hard to like work outside of the vinyl record strapped to your back. At least I've never been able to successfully accomplish that. But
MP3 player.
okay. I'd probably break the needle off.
Oh,
Sravan.
don't do that. That's the most expensive part.
Yeah, but you have to replace them after a period of time anyway.
The 1,000 hours.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, about 1,000 hours. The cheap ones, I wouldn't go past 500.
Is it sound degradation, or it starts to do funny things to the record?
They wear after a while. I mean, the stylus, which you're calling the needle, they come in about 4 different shapes, which produce different types of sounds. They may enhance the lower end and muffle the upper end, or enhance the middle, or have the more expensive ones, you get the whole music spectrum. I mean, canonical, round, and that they do wear, as do your records would wear too, because your records are made out of vinyl. The stylus is usually made out of a sapphire or a diamond or something of that nature. Some of them are ceramic. Those are the ones I would recommend people to stay away from. Now,
can you get them in snaps and flat pack, those stylus?
No.
He said canonical, so
I know you did.
You could get some of them from Amazon, or I get a lot of my stuff from LP Gear.
Okay, that's cool. I don't have a record player currently. I need to get one. It's on the list of
I
things.
do have I've got an old Kenwood sitting in the shed. I haven't used it for many years, but I've got some albums as well.
I would like to get one of those old ones that I remember in elementary school that I barely remember. I saw one actually in a restaurant where it has like the bass is very bouncy, like it absorbs a lot of. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Jinder knows what I'm talking about because he probably got in trouble for playing with it in school.
Yeah, I probably.
If you're going to get into the hobby, don't buy cheap stuff. Don't buy one of those suitcase record players. Those are among the worst. They'll eat your records up.
I want to get one of those that like it's like a bus, then you put on top of it and actually rolls around on it and plays it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that tears up the records badly.
You'll also need to get some kind of preamp and amp and speakers to go with it.
I want something that I can Bluetooth into something else because I don't want to have to buy all that gear.
You have to buy all that gear to play a record.
I want to cheat. Somehow I want to cheat the system. Dan, find a way for me to cheat the system.
Actually, a record player started out as an add-on to your stereo receiver system that you got, and the receiver system has all that stuff built in it. All you do is plug the phonograph into the receiver.
That's correct.
If you ever watch
I've got
Techmoan, have you seen Techmoan? He kind of sounds like Colin,
No.
but he sounds more British because he's British. But Techmoan is a great YouTube channel where I don't know the guy's actual name, but it's very interesting. He's an audiophile, and he goes and he listens. He evaluates different audio things, reviews like really old or obscure pieces of equipment and such. And he's a big fan of like reel-to-reel and record players. So it's neat. It's very neat to see this old technology and how he preserves it. But I want a Bluetooth record player. What were you gonna say, Colin? Before I interrupted you.
No. I was just saying that's cool. That sounds
you want
cool.
a Bluetooth record player? What do you want to do? Bluetooth your music to your earbuds or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's completely doable. I got one on the table over here. It's a transmitter. You just plug it into your headphone jack out on your stereo. I walk around the house with these on full blast from the record player. And these are Bluetooth capable. Completely doable.
There you go, Nate.
Yep.
You can do it.
I'll put it on my rather extensive list of things. Sravan, you have been working on a thing, something with containers in Nspawn or Nspawn. Oh, is that the device right there?
That's a Bluetooth transmitter. It takes a 3.5-inch audio cables.
Oh, okay.
And you can plug it into whatever you want to output and transmit.
Sounds expensive.
No, these things are like $27 on Amazon. I got 2 of them. They last about 6 hours.
That's like 4 gallons of gas.
Yeah. They charge via USB Mini.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I'll have to look into that. But I don't even have record players, so I'm like 6 steps away from that at this point.
Well, I'm trying to answer all your questions the
I
best
know.
I can.
And you're doing a fantastic job.
Good job, Dan.
Good job, Dan. You should do some videos. Sravan, you have been working on container things. So a system called Nspawn or Nspawn, or how do you say that?
Actually working on them and just playing with them. Just started to play with them.
Okay.
So SystemD Nspawn is a part of SystemD.
Okay.
Again, you can't use it on Debian, obviously, because it's SystemD free. But there's a part of SystemD called SystemD Nspawn.
Okay.
So it can be used to just create a lightweight containers, in which it's like an entire OS in that lightweight container. So you can run simple apps if you want to for a quick while, and then destroy the container if you want. Like it can be permanent or it can be like transient. So it's mostly used for transient things. So the way I've stumbled upon this is in the Arch Wiki for developers, they recommend you to build packages in a clean environment. So one way they do it is called, first they'll create a systemd nspawn container with nothing but base devil package, which is like the base for all like creating packages, package group, base devil package group. And then in that small container, they will build a package. And then the build package, they'll push to the repos. So it's used, so it's a clean container. So it's like, it's fresh. It's like a mini OS inside your system. Like it's similar to Docker and other things, but it's like a very, very quick way. Like you can just create a commander in a simple command line. And it's very quick to create, use, and then destroy. You just need to delete the folder. That's it.
So what would be a use case for these that you see that you would use these containers?
So for example, you want to try out like a fresh system. Like you have your systems, you have a bunch of packages installed, but you want to try out how an app works in a fresh system very quickly. So you can just create that container using that like with the base system and that app, and you can test out that app pretty quick.
Okay.
Like it's very fast, and because it's a base system, you already have those packages in your cache, right? So it creates a container in like 2 minutes with an entire. For example, if you're doing it in Arch, it's like it creates an Arch system in a single folder in like 2 minutes.
So if I'm running an OpenSUSE system, it would build an OpenSUSE system automatically for me, just based off of what I have running currently.
Like it depends on how it's configured. Like Arch team has a dev tools package, which have like wrappers around systemd Nspawn. So it's very easy to create a clean Arch like container pretty quick because they have already done the scripting for us. But I think many distros have similar stuff. So you can just create a very quick small container just to try out stuff and then destroy it pretty fast. There might be more users. Again, I've just started playing with containers like Docker. Somehow I installed some Docker images, but I never use them or get them to work. I need to learn how to use Docker. I've been playing around with these. And like systemd Nspawn, you can say is a fancy chroot. It's like a more fancy chroot. Like you're creating a chroot in your own, like anywhere in your home directory, and quickly running a command and accessing it and playing around with that container. It's again, I haven't found that many users yet, but because it's so easy to create and play with, you can run any command in that container. You can probably find a lot more users once you start playing with it. It's very easy. Anyone can do it. No need to configure. You need to learn like Docker to configure a Docker container or whatever. It's like very simple. And it's a copy of your own system, like a smaller copy without like all the packages. So I assume you're like, for example, OpenSUSE, you're familiar with that. So you know what to do with that smaller container. because it's like a mini copy of a bigger system.
Okay. That's very cool. Are you going to blog about this on your site that we talked about last week?
I have like 2-3 blog posts, like half written. I haven't written them any word in like a last month. I need to get to them first, and then because I just started playing with it, I haven't explored it a lot.
Okay.
I need to explore it more.
Well, I look forward to whatever you write up about it because I'd like to study it further. Even with just resources that you've used to explore this, that'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any links that you could share with the class on how you're researching this, that would be great.
ArchWiki.
Even a link to that is fine. I use
becoming like more and more prevalent in general computing. So like even as hobbyists, it's good to see how they work and how to just spin them up if needed. Because many things are running on containers, like many things, like in the commercial world. So if you just want to have a taste of how they look like I haven't gotten Docker to work. Like I've not tried it that much, but I spent like 2-3 days on it, but I've never gotten Docker images to work properly as I want them to. I think a little bit of effort goes into learning these container technologies, like LX. I think on the Telegram chat, we were talking about LXDs, Podman, all these things are like container technologies, like which have been extensively used by real world companies a lot. It seems Google spins up a container for every search. So every time you search something, it just spins up a container, does a search and kills itself. So it's like many things in the world without us knowing are running on containers. So it's a good thing to explore. Start exploring. It might be hard, but just start with simple things like SystemD Nspawn. It's much easier than Docker. At least I was able to do it. So so then you can go on to like more complicated things and then play with those things.
Right, and that's the trick there. Something that's easier for you.
Linux Server IO is the reference that I use. Been using a lot lately for Docker and doing Docker containers.
Awesome.
They have a lot of the open source projects that we talk and discuss about. They have basically the tips and tricks and the Docker run commands to set all that up. What's optional, what's not optional.
Okay, I'll have to definitely look at that because the Docker seems like it has a bit of a learning curve to it. It's not as straightforward as I would like. I look for specific answers to things, like where is this stored, and then I can't find where this is stored. It's really pretty irritating. So I'll have to check that out. Did put it in my list of follow-up notes as well.
I think the biggest thing, one of the biggest learning curves you'll have is understanding that you need to, if you're going to move things in and out of the Docker, you need to understand that you need to mount something outside the Docker, inside the Docker, and when the Docker comes up, that has to be there. And so that's there's instructions on that, but that was the thing for me. Once I understood how to get stuff in and out files, that was a biggie for me. And then you also need to realize the same thing about the network. You need to be able to get stuff in and out over the network into the container. And once you understand that, things get a little bit easier, I think.
That's good to know. All right, that's excellent. Thank you very much. So let's roll into the main body of a conversation here. Our application appetizer, we're talking about multimedia apps. So we couldn't actually focus on a specific application because we couldn't. So this week we explored different multimedia apps. Now, some of the rules for how we're going to discuss these things is we want to talk about the different aspects of the applications and discuss our experience in using these various multimedia applications. In this discussion, we want to have objective, constructive conversation. We don't want to say anything that's disparaging because these are labors of love by individuals out there. They created something to serve a specific purpose or need, and we don't want to poo-poo on their project. So let's highlight the positives, but not necessarily ignore the lowlights. So Eris did a straw poll about how is your music app exploration going. And now he's not here again this week. Apparently, he never got off Victory Road from last week. He is still out there, I guess, battling his Pokemon or something. Anyway, so we have the poll in Telegram. 20% said it's going great. 15% said it's going okay. 0% said they're not having a good time with it. 25% said not interested in this exploration. 15% said I'm unable to do this. 10% not interested in doing the explorations in general, which is fine. 15% said other, and there were no replies on those other. In Matrix, half of them said it's going okay, and the other half said not interested in this exploration. Understandable. So in this exploration, the idea was try a multimedia app that you are not familiar with, or that you don't use on a regular basis, and see how it goes for you. See if there's anything you can take from it. If there's anything you can, if you like, as a possibility, maybe trying a different multimedia application for whatever need. So I tried a few different, and I see that a lot of you folks tried quite a few, and so thank you, Mitchell, for the duck, for the super chat, for the duck comment,
Super
good stuff.
duck.
Yeah, I have a few ducks on my farm. They're fantastic. Okay, not all. Back to my usual lurking. Actually, I like my chickens better. Total side tangent. They actually chase me around the yard when I go through the yard because they expect me to feed them, and I get a big kick out of that. Only a few of the ducks actually want to come to me for food, and the way they nibble on my fingers is really kind of funny because they try and take it. It's just, I think, funny. And then I wash my hands because I realize that all animals are diseased and disgusting, just like people. All right, so I'm gonna go through here, and I'll try and kind of mix this up a little bit so it's not just me talking initially. And I see that one of the applications that I tried as well as Jinda is something called Rockarolla. I wanted to say Rick Roll, but that's not what it's called.
Say Rockacola.
Rockarolla. The Rockarolla Viatola.
Yeah.
Now, I installed this via Flatpak. Did you install this through Flatpak as well, Jinda, or
Yep.
some other means? Okay.
Yep,
Did you have?
Flatpak.
Did you have any issues with the installation process at all?
No, smooth as hell.
All right. Okay. So I didn't have any installation issues. I don't know. Did anybody here have any installation issues with these multimedia apps, like missing dependencies or anything like that? No, they're all pretty well self-contained. Cool.
That seemed to work all right.
So Rockarolla, I liked it, the visual presentation of it. So Jinda, what did you think of it as far as?
Oh, it looked great. It looked really nice, actually. I kind of liked it. I thought the layout was nice, and it was everything you would want in the music player and the look design.
Yeah, I noticed it was very keyboard driven and less mouse useful. Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah, there was no stop and play button or nothing. So stopping and playing the music was kind of annoying. You had to press P to pause it or something.
Yeah, I thought searching for songs was actually incredibly painful.
Oh, horrifying.
Yeah. So I felt like it was a great application. Oh, also the dark mode, because I use a dark display, and although now I'm concerned about the environmental implications of me using dark now after that survey that Eris did some time ago about using more energy, but because I'm on solar now, it doesn't matter. I thought the dark mode was great on it, but yeah, I thought the navigation was really quite tedious, and probably better with a limited number of songs. Like if you want to set up a kiosk with specific songs for a jukebox. I'm not sure how the coins would have been triggered. I didn't really understand that piece of it. Do you happen to understand that?
Yeah, it just hit spacebar, and you could change how much a coin was worth. You hit spacebar, then you had 50 coins, and if you wanted to change it to 100, you could.
Yeah.
It was self-explanatory once you read the one little part of it. But the problem is trying to find that little part took me a couple of tries, which I'm not complaining. It's just that it's a music player. It should be really self-explanatory. You shouldn't have to read instructions on how to work a music player. I'm not judging. It's just that's how I felt.
That's fair. I think that our expectations of not requiring a manual to understand basic functions is probably sort of expected now. Probably 40 years ago it wasn't really expected. You'd have a manual with it, but I think that requirement has substantially changed. Did anybody else try Rockarolla besides Jinda and myself? No. Now, is this something you might consider continuing to use?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not going to either.
It sounds like you didn't have very much fun with it.
I thought it was a neat application. So in my mind, I was kind of searching for if I were to use this, how would I use it? And I think that if you had like a kiosk and you wanted specific songs, you could probably hook up you could probably do it with like a Raspberry Pi and have it triggered, that the spacebar button triggered, whatever, through the GPIO. So it could be like a neat jukebox kiosk type setup. And I think that would actually work quite well. But for like thousands of songs, it's probably not great, because searching through all the songs would probably drive you crazy. Vince, welcome. I haven't seen your beautiful face on Linux Saloon for a while, so it's nice to.
Hello.
Looks like you just woke up, maybe.
No. And for the record, I'm only here because you said that there'd be pancakes. Is that right?
Sure. We'll go with that.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I thought he was making waffles.
Did I miss a memo? Did I miss the memo? I didn't know about this.
Strawberries and blueberry topping, only real maple syrup from Canada, so it's very expensively imported.
With Vegemite.
Ooh, nice.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and pass on that Vegemite. Well, welcome. Nice to see you here.
Hey, listen, it's great to be back.
Good. I'm glad. So Dan, I see that you tried something called Lollipop.
Yes,
and Colin used it too.
Okay.
I used that one too.
Oh, and Jinda. I didn't try this one. So do tell me about it.
Lollipop is more album-like orientated. It's really good with handling albums. What I did is I had to do a Peppermint hardware build. So I took one of my laptops and it got that on it, but it got on it fresh. So I could go fetch music that's organized in my music folder on my main rig, rather than just a bunch of duplicates of this, that, and the other thing splattered everywhere, and make a music folder that was somewhat organized. And with Lollipop, if you actually, one thing I did notice is it doesn't follow the theming very well. It's kind of white and gray. And with XFCE, it doesn't pick up on the colors. And it has a built-in equalizer, so you can equalize your music. It's got a column of different things you can choose from. It's got popular albums, random albums, recently added albums, web, composer, artist, genre, playlist. You can make playlists with it. But if you deal with what I found really useful is if you deal with the album parts, and this is a column I'm talking about that's down the left side, you click on one of these album items and it will show you albums. And if you know which song you want to listen to and you know what album it's on, you can just simply click on that and it'll load up your first song for you or give you a choice to select another one. But it'll also go through and find all the other albums you've got under that artist's name and put it underneath the play line. So, if you want to listen to more of that artist, you can click on one of the albums that added from the artists and open that up and play some stuff out of that. And I thought it was a really classy cross between what music albums that you'd have in your collection. The Lollipop is something that's made by Gnome. It's a Gnome project. The one I got is version 1.4.34. I got it as a flat pack because it looked like you had down for the rules, pick a flat pack.
It didn't have to be.
I could have easily installed this directly from the Peppermint Carry Mars installer.
Okay, that's good.
Because it's got that installer's got like a ton of junk in it. You pick all your apps before you install, not after. But Lollipop is something, if I had an organized music collection, I probably would use. It's it's very nicely laid out. It's kind of something like Rhythm Box, but it's a little more, it's a little more to date. I'd say it's something that's, you know, someone put a lot of thought in it and how they wanted to work. If you wanted to, you know, look at something in here, like if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to actually look at something at one of the Stevie Nicks albums that I got, like 24 Karat Gold. And I open that, it puts that up on the play line. And then underneath it, it's got the albums I got that are from that Stevie Nicks 24 Karat Gold. Underneath the songs that are on it, it's got a line that's got Rock a Little for one of her albums, Time Spaces, Crystal Visions, In Your Dreams, Live in Chicago.
So
you
like
can album hop right there.
Well, that's cool. That's neat that it has those kind of. So as far as user interface is concerned, it's really easy to navigate then for you?
If you know the artists and you know any of the album names or anything like that, all you gotta do is pick one of them and it'll show you all of them that are present in the music folder.
Has anybody else here tried Lollipop? Yeah, we did. Yeah, Colin
Yeah,
and Jinda.
yeah.
That probably don't come out right.
Yeah, it's good enough. It's
I
fine.
don't know. I found it more web orientated than anything else. Just
Okay.
I just found adding a folder, because I've got all my music organized in folders,
Mhm.
and just trying to add a folder was just a task.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out how to add a folder. Although unlike Dan, being I suppose because I'm on Gnome, every music app that I tried looked fantastic in Gnome. So they integrate really well. So there's no problem or issues there for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I just found it a little bit confusing, Lollipop, to be honest. And the way, so if you click on any, it opens up with all these suggestions, popular albums, random albums, recently added albums, web compilations, but there's nothing like add a folder or add a file. There's nothing like that. And then they've got these, and you've got to click on one of these, and then you've got options up the top right-hand corner, but you click on that, preferences equalizer, but then you've got to click on it again to close it, which I found was a bit odd. And then there's preferences as well, but it doesn't really tell you, or playback options.
There is a section where you can choose a folder for it to populate from, but it looks like you only have a choice of one. It does music by default. If you go down the hamburger menu on this side, I think I chose preferences and then the center tab music. They'll say collection.
It's a little bit odd. It's not. I found it not obvious. A lot of things were not obvious to find things, so you had to go digging around.
You can add another folder too. You hit the plus sign and it puts another bar in for you to fill in a folder with. So you can
Under
do more
which
than one
category though? That would have to be under a category though, right?
It's under preferences, in the center tab music, right at the top where it says collections. You'll see it's got music folder by default if you haven't changed it. But if you hit the plus button, it'll add another one of those bars. It says none, but you open that up and then you got the menu to go search for another folder to add to it.
I don't have that. I don't have that unless I open one of these categories. Then that hamburger bar doesn't work.
The three dots, the three vertical dots don't work on yours?
They do only if I select one of these categories. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Yeah. Maybe there's an issue with Lollipop on here then. There must be an issue with it.
Yeah, you select the three dots, which we call the hamburger menu, and then there's preference, equalizer, keyboard shortcuts, and about Lollipop inside the hamburger menu. You would go to preference.
That's correct, but that only works if I select maybe random albums or suggestions or artists. It will work under any of those, but when I'm on the main screen with all those categories there, that hamburger menu does not work. For me.
What thing does it not work with? I
just click it. Doesn't do anything. if I go into random albums, then I've got an option with the hamburger menu. It says preferences, equalizer, about lollipop.
Preferences in there is where you're going to find your extra folder to add. You use the center tab, music. And
Anyway, I find it just a little bit hard work. It's a tough.
So for the most part, I don't have something like that on my machine. If I want to listen to one song, I just click on it and Celluloid opens and plays it for me because it'll play anything. If I want something with a playlist, I'll use Clementine and just fill it full of the junk I want to listen to at that time.
I got you. So then I see that some of the notes here. So the music player works great with albums. I see as one of the items. The dark mode, nothing. So there's no dark mode to whatsoever.
Well, it didn't work on XFCE. It probably worked in other ones, right?
Yeah, I'm on
dark
XFCE.
mode. Dark mode works in Gnome beautifully.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's information when loading the music. So it actually gives.
Yeah, when I was
Able to get
loading all my
feedback?
music,
Okay.
it told me it was doing it. A lot of these other MP3 players, they did not. You didn't know if they were doing anything or not, or locked out
Okay.
or what.
And then another note is can't edit tags. No ABC. Hard to find music.
Yeah, there was no listing on the ABC directories that say, hey, I want to go to, I don't know, Boston. We hit click B to find it. You have to search for everything in most of these, except for what was it, Clementine and Strawberry were the only two that really seem to have like an ABC listing.
Okay. Now Mach 7 Radio, he says he just dumps folders of MP3s, waves, and FLACs into folders and fuzzy search for content to play. So apparently that's a feature that
A lot of
is
these
important.
apps that do things automatically for you assume you have all your metadata correct,
Mhm.
and assume that your albums and stuff are all nice and neat. You don't have duplicates and triplicates everywhere in different formats. That really makes them messy. The mess really shows.
I've been amassing a music collection for probably pushing 20 years of MP3s.
Yeah,
Which
I
kind of
do
disturbs
too.
me
Me
that
too.
I'm
Well,
saying that.
Most of the time when you buy a new vinyl album, you get a little ticket in it with an address for a website to go get your MP3s too.
Right. It's really hard to jog with a vinyl record player. So you gotta have MP3s. I mean, you can try, I suppose. So I have a lot of music, and I've been organizing them into folders for a long time now. And so I don't have just a mass. I don't have duplicates because I don't. I buy CDs. In fact, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all my CDs at some point in time. I think they're slowly eating up space. Not as quick as they once did.
You know what I'm finding is around here we have a lot of yard sales. This park or this community has yard sales twice a year. You can go out and get top titled DVD movies for 50 cents.
Yeah, that's great.
People are just trying to unload them.
It's a wonderful thing. I always shop the bargain bins for movies and sometimes CDs. Although CDs not as much anymore because they're just not there. Okay, well, interesting. So we got a link to the Lollipop on FlatHub. That's good. Well, thanks for that. I don't want to beat it on it too much. I'm trying to get to all these applications. So Linux Ninja, welcome. I hope that you arrived in one piece. Nobody tried to fight you on the way in the Linux Saloon. Because these Australians, they're pretty tough. They do box kangaroos for sport. I've seen the YouTube clips.
You got to eat the Vegemite to do that.
Colin's the one that looks like a bouncer.
Yeah, he does. He looks like he could keep that mean kangaroo out of the doors.
Mean kangaroo.
All right. So Colin, you tried something called Clementine. This is something I tried a long time ago, but not recently.
Yes, Clementine. I'll do two in one here, Nate, because I believe, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong. Clementine seems to be, Strawberry. I tried Strawberry. That seems to be a fork of Clementine.
It is.
that
It's a
right?
fork of Clementine with some of the weight unloaded off it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Clementine wasn't too bad. I'm just opening it up just to jog my memory a little bit. Clementine, from what I remember, it's not opening. What's going on? I'll open Strawberry instead. That'll jog me. Yeah, I seem to think there's a very similar theme within a lot of music players, whereas they're trying to do everything, radio, download all the information for what you're playing and things like that. So instead of just wanting to open a folder and play music, but Clementine was a little bit easier to add things than the previous one that I was trying. I thought it wasn't too bad. It's got easy to make playlists, and also you can bring your folders in and you can play your music from there with the folders. So that wasn't too bad. It's got a menu down the left-hand side, and you can look at what folders you've got in there. But I find it difficult to navigate what folder you got open. Oh no, it's all right. It's all on the left. You just there's an arrow up and stuff like that. So it wasn't too bad. It played music. It did what I wanted. I'm getting confused because I've tried so many of these music players.
It's understandable. Looking at Strawberry and Clementine, they look very similar, like same layout. Although Strawberry looks like it has maybe Strawberry looks like it has more of a friendly looking interface, maybe a little bit like larger buttons. I think I associate larger buttons with being friendly. Now,
Strawberry is newer.
Is it newer?
Yes.
Okay. But it looks like old Amarok. That reminds me of from KDE 3 and before.
Right. I seem to think that there's a very similar theme as well across all these music players. Is instead of playing from folders, they want you to make up playlists instead. They seem to be very heavily involved with playlists rather than doing anything else. So it seems as though you're expected to check off everything you want to play, and if you've got a lot of music, that can be a little bit painful to do so. Instead of adding folders and just playing from the folders themselves and then making playlists. It seems to me like that they're not very folder orientated. They're playlist orientated instead. Okay. I don't know if anyone seems to think the same thing. I'm not sure. That's what I see.
I personally like that workflow with music players. It allows me to create a playlist.
I got one for you.
I'm sure you do, because it's I like to mix my music together. I don't like to do all from one album. So that's one of the reasons I like that playlist way of doing things.
Oh, you like to mix your music and then just find what you're looking for.
So here's a little secret. I used to be in radio, and so I once had access to lots and lots of music. Right. And so I would actually create playlists that I liked to, when I like to mix my music together. And that was, for me, something that I enjoyed, a way of managing my music. I didn't like listening to an album at a time. I was one of those mixtape / mix CD folks.
So that's kind of how all my folders are made.
You just mix folders together, shuffle them?
Yeah, well, when I first started out, I got really confused with genres and everything else. And this was like back in the early 2000s. And I just started labeling rock light, rock medium, rock hard, rock metal, and just sort it out because, you get a CD, one song on it isn't quite metal and it's from a metal band, and it's more like a really slow song. So I really don't want to kind of mix the speeds up.
Yeah, it's understandable. I think when they had the every big hair band back in the day had a ballad on there, which was kind of the ghetto of the DVD. You had to go around that particular song. When you're driving, you want the drive fast and punch people music. That's kind of the way I like to play music when I'm
road
driving.
Rage music.
Yeah. It pumps you up, keeps you active or alert and so forth. That's cool. So Colin, on Clementine and Strawberry, do you see yourself continuing to use either of those, or do they just not suit you at all?
I think those two, Clementine and Strawberry, give you a little bit more access to folders. So I think for me, if I'm looking for music to play, I tend to remember what music I like to mix in a playlist by searching for them within folders rather than going through a whole heap of music. So
Okay.
I prefer to do it that way. So then I can find what music I want to mix together within different folders. And my folders would be the albums that I've ripped onto the computer. And maybe I don't want to listen to that album, but I want to listen to different types of music in a playlist. So these two applications here give me the option of doing that. So I think it's not too bad.
I like the
I
fuzzy
could
search.
probably use them.
Does it have fuzzy search
Fuzzy
capability?
search?
Yeah, where you can just
I
start
don't know.
typing in like the name, like you start typing "dirty
Type?
little secret," will All American Rejects pop up? Something like that.
Yep.
All right. Oh yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
It does sort of have a search, but I can't find anything at the moment. I don't know how that works. I haven't been into it enough to sort of work out how
Or if
that
you start-
works.
Or if you start typing all, or like, All Star United and All American Rejects, and every song that has all in the title someplace, or metadata, will that show up? Those fuzzy searches like that, I really appreciate, because sometimes I can't remember like the artist or the name or something. I remember like
Yeah.
a couple, like a word or something, and then it pops in. So I think those are
That-
helpful for
That's
me.
why I like to search in folders. So because if you've ripped your music and you've got it organized really well in the folders, and the folder is named what the CD was named,
Right.
then you know what you're looking for, right? So that's probably just the way my brain works. And I know we're all wired differently, but yeah, that's just the way I like to do it. But search is probably a good idea as well, I suppose.
So I put some tags in there for me to check out later, because I want to look at those. All right. So another music app that I looked at was something called Byte, and Byte was, I would say, I would have liked Byte, except it kept crashing on me, and so I
You
didn't really
got
get
bit.
to. It bit me. Byte bit me, but it's BYTE, so it's not even BITE. I don't know if it had to do with the size of my music collection, that it couldn't handle the number of songs or not, but it did crash. Now, it did have some neat things though about it. It did automatically download the cover art, so I didn't have to find that myself. And it had a very nice dark mode that I enjoyed, but because it kept crashing on me, it didn't work. I couldn't actually listen to the songs that I selected, so that was kind of an unfortunate thing. Maybe I should file a bug report, but I'll put that on my list of things to do. So I see, Dan, there's one called Deadbeef that you used. Looks like it's camel cased.
Okay, Deadbeef is what is the point we're getting to here with finding music in folders. Okay, first some history of Deadbeef, as I kind of was explained to me. Deadbeef is the word Deadbeef because it uses all hexadecimal letters in the hexadecimal set, and that's how they came up with the name for it. I didn't read that somewhere, but I've had 3 or 4 people tell me that's exact story. So Deadbeef actually has the ability, if you go under File and select a folder, if you have all the music in one folder you want to listen to for a day, you select Add Folder from the File menu, and it populates it in its window for you. And it gets better. If you don't want to listen to it all in a row, you can actually turn on Shuffle. Shuffle tracks, shuffle albums, repeat if you're not tired of it. You can turn that on too. It'll repeat and shuffle and do all kinds of stuff like that. It is a basic player. It does work great with XFCE. It takes on whatever color scheme XFCE, at least Peppermint. I mean, it Peppermint colored it, but it's a very toned down kind of music player. It's got a volume control. It has a built-in equalizer if you want to equalize your music. But you can actually select a file if you want to use Deadbeef to find a certain file. You can import a whole folder if you got a folder built that you got to listen to someday. It's got a thing called add location. I haven't played with that yet. Then it's got add audio CD. So you stuff a CD in this thing and it'll peel it for you and play it. But
You said peel it.
it's more basic than the Lollipop and the other stuff. And I don't know if you can see that very well.
Yeah, I can see it.
That's basically
Looks like-
what it looks like and what you get.
Looks kind of like iTunes from days of old. I haven't
Yeah.
seen iTunes in a while.
It
so.
does. It gives you that iTunes or Microsoft Zoom feeling.
I might have to try this Deadbeef, I think. Try a bit of beef.
It's been around ever since I started using Linux. However, it's been updated recently. Let me see what this is a project that doesn't say it's Gnome based or anything. It says Deadbeef, the ultimate music player, and it's got copyright 2009 to 2021. And then it's got this huge list of all the contributors that contribute to building it. And it looks like their email addresses. And it says special thanks to, this is like watching movie credits for an about thing, you know. But it looks like it's a complete independent project a bunch of guys put together back in 2009, because that's when the copyright starts. I guess it's how that works. But if you're the folder file type of guy, this is probably the road you'd want to go down. Because
Okay.
I haven't looked at any other music players. I have Clementine on this machine. I do like it when I want to stack a bunch of junk in the Clementine's playlist, let it rifle through it. But that's about it. For single file play, I just click on it and I got my machine to open celluloid to play it.
I noticed it doesn't have a flat pack though, by the looks of it.
Well, I think I got a flat pack. Let me do a quick flat pack list.
Was it called Deadbeef? Is that what it's called?
Yep, we said Deadbeef.
What was it? DEAD?
It's
Yes.
all one word.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't
all
see it
one
as a
word.
flat pack
It's
either.
not. No, it's not a flat pack. No.
Maybe there's a snap.
No, I'm not using snaps.
Well, I'm just
Maybe I
looking.
did get it from somewhere else. It's not in my flat pack list. Oops, I broke the rules. I'm sorry, guys.
No, that wasn't a rule. Deadbeef is a snap. The Deadbeef-VS. So there might even be an app image. I don't know. I didn't check.
I don't know. Maybe I
should-
selected it in the Calamari's installer when I installed Peppermint.
Could be it's in the repos for Peppermint.
That would be Debian repos for apps.
Well, it's not in the Pac-Man repos, so it's got to be in the AUR. So I'll try that.
Well, you can get a snap. So there's that.
I haven't got Snap installed, so I'm not going to do that just to try something, I suppose.
Right. But for you file people out there, that's the best thing I could find for that. Does files or whole folders. But you know something, when you go in your music folder and you start taking music out of one folder and building another folder from it, what you get's duplicates in that folder in case you want to try something like Lollipop. Then you get duplicate albums.
I have to admit, I've seen Deadbeef around for many, many years. I've just never tried it.
Right.
I've never heard of
this.
it.
This is a first try for me. I've seen other people's mention it in chats and stuff like that, and in Telegram and stuff like that. But I never really dug into it. I think I looked at it once before. And I'm like, it's another music player. Celluloid can take care of this. Just pass on by. I didn't take it seriously. Same thing with Lollipop. I probably have installed Lollipop once, and this is too intrusive, you know. And that's one thing I don't like about Rhythmbox. The minute you fire it up after you install it, it buzzes right through your music collection. It makes one big mess.
Yeah, Rhythmbox. Forgot about Rhythmbox. One thing we haven't mentioned, Nate, that I need to mention
Yes, please do.
is I need to give Aris props for little Clippy with his headphones and the bits of music coming.
That was funny. So, Jinda, you tried something called Elisa. How do you pronounce that?
I have no idea. I was hoping
Elisa.
someone else knew.
We'll go with Elisa. That sounds reasonable. Elisa, something
Unfortunately,
I have installed, at least it's something I have installed and I use on the occasion. So what did you think of it?
I couldn't get to load any music.
Oh,
It refused to work. I don't know why. I tried and tried and tried. I installed it twice. I even took it out and put it back in. It just refused to do whatever it was supposed to be doing.
That's a total bummer.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it wouldn't load from the hard drive at all.
What app we talking about? Which app
It's
is
called Elisa, Elisa. I run this one
yeah.
pretty regularly, so it's not. This is one I'm pretty familiar with, and I have my gripes with it for sure. The fuzzy search on it is not quite like I would like, although you didn't get to experience that pain of it, Jinda, since you haven't used it. But you can search, like you can click and search by albums, artists, tracks, genres, and you can go into files even. But it loads the files alright. I think it uses Dolphin or something, the file manager, even within it for the file portion of it. It looks like it does, and it seems to work pretty well. But I don't like the flow of how to create playlists and such. I feel like it should be a little more drag and drop. Outside of that, I think it's a fine application. It looks really nice. It's beautiful. Also, when you close it, it kills the app. It doesn't take it down to the system tray, which I would prefer. But outside of that, it's a very nice looking application. Just is not quite like what I hope for in a music application. But yet I still keep it installed. But it didn't load the music from the hard drive at all. I wonder if there was a permissions thing. Did you try checking like the flat seal, like going into flat seal and see if maybe it didn't see the folder, like maybe it couldn't?
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. I was so disenchanted with a lot of these after a while. I was like, half of these don't work or they're clunky, and you know what I mean? I was like, I'll just try another one. So I just said I'll spend my time trying a different one instead of trying to get one to work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Has anybody else here tried Elisa? No? Crickets?
Crickets.
Well, that's why we do these application reviews, because they're coming out in flat pack or flat hub and in repos faster than we can realize they're even there.
True. All right. Well, Colin, you tried something called Quodlibet? Quodlibet?
Quodlibet, I believe it's pronounced.
So it's a hard T. It's not Quodlibet.
Not that I know of. I know this one from watching Esnix. He includes Quodlibet in some of his distros. I think the Esnix OS one, but not too bad. Very simple. Once again, let me just quickly check this one out. File, you can add folders, you can add files, so there's no problems there. Fairly simple enough.
It looks very easy to use. I do like how you can. Yep. The search is probably a fuzzy search in that one. If you start typing a song title or an artist title, it'll probably just filter them out. Is that what it does?
There's a search field here. See if that works. Yep, that works fine. Search field. So fuzzy search is like you type, but there's no search field. You just start typing, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just automatically just starts filtering down. I think you have to have
let me have a look. Yeah, it does sort of do that. Yeah.
The word processor for music.
But it's a fairly simple application. I've added some folders. I didn't really use this one too much, so I haven't really got a lot to say about this one. I added it at the last, I think late yesterday. So I didn't really try it too much. Let me just quickly add a folder in here.
So it says it's a music management program. It provides several different ways to view your audio library, as well as support for internet radio and audio feeds, which that's very interesting. So you could actually listen to podcasts in it then as well. As extremely, I'm guessing. Don't quote me on that. It has extremely flexible metadata tagging, editing, and searching capabilities. So all the file formats essentially out there. So
it comes with. I think it also comes with Xfelso, which is a tag editor.
Okay.
I think it comes with that when you install it. I believe. I might be wrong about that, but Xfelso definitely is a nice little tagging tool as well. Yeah, so I've only got just the one. It's just got all the music here that I've added, but the folders don't show up within this application once again. So you'd have to search for or do playlists and things like. You can add new playlists and stuff. So, yeah, I can't talk too much on that. I've only used it a little bit.
I think it's definitely worth a visit for me as well.
Right.
I'm going to put a little note next to that one as well to check that out later.
And it does. It has got a browse menu, which you can browse internet radio, audio feeds, SoundCloud.
Nice. That is cool.
Yeah, so it's got all those things in there. So that looks pretty good. Yep.
That is cool. Well, cool. Now, when that Jinda and you tried something called Amberol.
Amberol. Yep.
So some notes that somebody put was no information when loading music. Just lists of songs, no list of albums, no ABC, hard to find music.
That would have been Jinder, I think. I don't think I added that. Was that you, Jinder?
Yeah, that was me. When you have a massive collection of songs and stuff, and you say, hey, start finding them, and the program doesn't tell you that it's doing something, it really is annoying. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just really annoying. But there was really no information when I did that. It was just a list of songs, which kind of suck if you know what you're looking for and you just want to go like I said, you just want to go to something simple. You have to search for it every single time. And I found that cumbersome at best.
So I think that this application, looking at the thumbnail pictures on the flathub.org site, it makes me feel like this is designed more for a mobile platform, so you're going to have less storage space on that, which would probably make sense. And also, if you even look, a lot of them are in portrait format as far as the layout. If you look on the site itself, It looks like it's very pretty to look at, but perhaps the usability of it is not quite there.
It's got you can toggle what is it? It's got a main menu, so you can add folder, add song. Excuse me. So it's got menus down the bottom, and then it's got this toggle playlist. I don't think it's a playlist of such. It's just the music that I've added, but it says toggle playlist. So it's sort of very, very simplistic, I'd have to say. And it does very simple things, but it's not very intuitive like Jinder said. It's just a very plain, very plain with some buttons down the bottom that doesn't do things that you would probably expect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the thumbnails again on FlatHub, and I was thinking to myself, I don't think I'd ever want to contribute thumbnails of my music collection anywhere. I don't want people to see how terrible my taste in music is.
Thumbnails for your music, they're supposed to be your album cover art.
Yeah, but I don't want people to see how my music collection, like, you just have a terrible taste in music, I'm sure.
I went through an awful lot of trouble to find album art. You used to be able to get it from a program called MP3 Tag that was a Windows program.
Oh, yeah, that were rocked. That was the best one.
That will run and whine.
Yes, it does.
And they used to allow you to go to Amazon to get the album art.
Mm-hmm.
And they since have stopped that. And now you're stuck with just Discogs.
Yeah.
I haven't tried album art in a while for one reason or another to see if those update.
It takes time, and I understand if you don't have the time for something like that. It is time consuming.
But it's nice to have, though. It's a nice experience to have the album art.
When you're done, you want to have backups of backups of backups, because you know how much work it was. I mean, even with the album art and the MP3s, when I go plug it in my truck, it shows the album art in the truck on the backup screen display.
I was talking and I was muted.
Oh, Colin, you're muted.
I was saying, and I was wondering why Nate wasn't responding. I was saying, I agree with Nate. It looks, Amberol does look like it's suited for mobile, but there is, what I've found was, if you toggle the playlist, there's a little button up the top of that because it sort of slides out, and there's select songs in the playlist. So then it allows you to select songs that you want to put in the playlist, and you can just keep scrolling down and just keep selecting which songs you want to put in. So not too bad. It's just it's not obvious to start with because you're trying to figure out what all these buttons are. Unless you hover over them, it does tell you what they do, but you got to hover and read them. Very simple, not too bad. Probably suited for mobile more than anything, I'd have to think.
It says it supports fuzzy matching when searching inside the playlist, so that's something.
Oh, does it?
What it says.
Inside the playlist. Oh, okay, yeah, all right. So that's it does too. Found something really, really quick. Wow, that was awesome. I just started typing and it found the song very quickly. So yeah, not too bad. Actually, I think it's just one of those things that is off-putting because there's not a lot of information put in your face. But yeah, maybe not too bad once you get used to it. So I might look at that a little bit more.
Definitely something to look into. I feel like it would be great, like on the Pine phone or something like that, or some sort of a Linuxy phone. Like it'd be well suited for that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, Colin, you did something called Gnome Music.
Gnome Music. Well, that was right under my nose, Gnome Music, because I'm using the Gnome desktop anyway. And when I did a basic search for music, it popped up and I thought, well, maybe I should give that a try. Integrates really well with Gnome, obviously. Once again, it's got your songs there and you can, I don't know if it's got a search, and it does have a fuzzy search as well. So I didn't know about fuzzy search. I don't normally try that. I'm not one of those people, but it is pretty handy, the fuzzy search, I must say. So Gnome Music is not too bad if you're using the Gnome desktop. Once again, it's got all the menus along the top. At least it's got albums, artists, songs, and playlists. So you can do that. It's got playlists there. I think it's not too bad. You can. It's got little menus on next to the music. It's got hamburger menus on next to every file, and you can select play or add the playlist. And then you can just make a whole heap of playlists. Now, what I found with that one was I made a playlist, I was playing it, then I added some more music into the playlist, but it didn't show up till I closed it and opened it back up again. Don't know what that was all about, but I suppose Gnome Music is a little bit more, what can you say, more intuitive than Amberol, and does integrate well with the Gnome desktop. So I suppose it's got that going for it. I found it not too bad.
Well, that's good to know.
I don't know.
I haven't used Gnome Music.
I'm just having a look. I'm just opening it back up. It has got last.fm account. I don't know what that is. Is that a music? Is that a radio station or something?
It's something that uses it's a database that you can pull album art from.
Okay, so it doesn't seem to have, from what I can see, it doesn't have online stuff by the looks of it. Not like the other players, anyway.
All right, I think.
But sorry.
I'm looking on FlatHub for it. I think this is correct. Yeah, org.gnome.music.
Right.
It has a nice look to it. It's very clean.
It's weird that they would make that, and then Gnome would also make something called Lollipop.
Well, that might be an independent project.
Well, Lollipop's probably got Lollipop's the one that's got all the online cloud and radio and all that, and the Gnome Music is pretty much suited for just playing local music on your disc. But from what I can see there, so yeah, a little more intuitive than Amberol for sure. And except for adding the playlist, seems to add playlists no problem. Unless you get out of there and you go back in, it didn't add them until I closed it and opened it back up. That's the only issue I've seen with Gnome Music. Otherwise, I suppose if you're running Gnome, it makes sense to run Gnome Music. Seems to be intuitive enough and simple enough to play your songs and add playlists.
That's cool.
I sort of judge these players on how easy it is to. I suppose that's the only way we can pretty much judge them, besides all the extras they may have online. But how easy is it to find music? How easy is it to add a folder? That's the way I sort of judge it, to be honest. I didn't find it that hard to add music.
Was editing meta tag data important to you? Was that on your list anywhere?
I normally use EasyTag. I've been using that for many years.
Okay.
Xfelso is another one that's pretty good. But yeah, I'll use a different application for editing metadata.
Okay. So data, not data. Just
data. One thing about Deadbeef is you do not need album art. Don't display it. It just displays it like old school did, where you have the group dash the name of the song.
Right. Okay.
Does that have data?
The data kind of limit. You do get the time duration and you do get the track number also. But you get the artist, then it doesn't put the dash in or anything on the display, but it's kind of set up that way in order.
Okay.
But if you're looking for digging around in folders and making something with that, Deadbeef is great for
Man,
that.
you keep pushing this Deadbeef on me. It's like
I'm kind of really getting sucked into it because it's the kind of
quite
way
the pusher.
I live.
It's like, no, that was like four applications ago, and you're still pushing it. Juke. Jinda, you did Juke.
Yeah, I did Juke.
And that one didn't cross as a good experience for you either?
No, it kind of failed. There was no information when loading music. It locked up when I was adding music.
Juke isn't jukebox.
Yeah. It was on FlatHub.
They give you the juke but no box.
Yeah. It kept locking up on me. I had all kinds of issues with it. I mean, when I saw it on FlatHub, it looked great. Oh, that looks nice. It was supposed to have some of the like the lyrics on the side, and I couldn't get that to work. I had nothing but issues with it. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure there's something either I did wrong, but oh well. What are you gonna do? Try another one.
Yeah, I didn't try that one. I've heard it before. I think it's been around a long time, but I've not actually tried that one in some time.
Last updated July 7th, 2022. That's your Juke. Interesting.
That is interesting. Cool. All right, so then there's something I installed. I wouldn't call this a music. It's a multimedia application, but not one that I would say be good for playing music, like in a playlist. Something called Play It Slowly. It's kind of fun to mess with because you can adjust the speed, the pitch, start and end positions. And there was an old radio station trick. This is a long time ago, but to make the station sound more energetic, they would adjust by just a few percentage points songs to play slightly faster. This is before the digital age, because then it made it sound higher energy than the competitors. Obviously, you can only get away with a few percentage points before it wouldn't sound right.
Why does this record not sound like the thing I heard on the radio?
Exactly. But Play It Slowly it was fun to play with, and I could see some usages for that. Like, let's say you want to listen to you have a long file or whatever, you want to listen to it at a greater rate of speed. Very often, like when I listen to something on YouTube, I'll increase to like a 1.25 or 1.5 so I can listen to more things at once. Some people you can listen to at a higher rate of speed, not a problem. Some people you cannot. Like Noah Chalaya, you can't increase his speed at all.
He's on full tilt.
Yeah, he's already at 2x speed when he talks. So my brain just can't process Noah at a high rate of speed. But most everybody else out there, you can increase at least just a little bit. But there's a problem with doing that because when you listen to somebody at normal speed, they sound like they're drunk. So I don't recommend going really high speed for everybody all the time because it can mess with your head and then you start talking really fast and start smashing your words together. Something I do. But anyway, so that's a fun one to try out if you want to listen to things at a higher rate of speed. Just adjust it, play with it. If you have audiobooks or something else that you want to listen to and you want to adjust the speed of it locally. VLC can do this too. but this has some really fine controls you can play with.
Is that something that they called the loudness wars with the radio stations, where they tried to run the music hotter than it really was?
That was
So it
something
sound
else.
louder.
That was actually something else. So you would actually run it higher at a louder level. Something that I did when I used to do late nights on the rock station, I would very slowly turn the volume down on it and then crank it up just to see if anybody complained, because you get bored late at night. I probably shouldn't have said I did that, but I did that, messing with people, because they're slowly turning it up on their on their stereo.
So you want me to listen? You want me to listen to something that sounds like Cousin It from the Addams Family? Is that it?
Yes, exactly. But there was no crashing. Play it slowly, did play things slowly or fastly, whatever you want. And you can adjust the speed and the pitch, or not at all, and just listen to something at a higher or slower rate of speed.
Oh, you know what? My phonograph has got that function. You can switch it from quartz to another function, and it's got the little LED that shines on the platter with the lines.
Oh,
they
yeah.
go forward or slower, depending on how you set it.
Right, yeah. It looks like
Wow.
it's it looks like you want it to basically look like it's stationary as it's going around, whatever. Not like it's going forward or backward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you turn the little potentiometer and it goes slower and puts the line off and off more, or you go faster the other way.
Yeah, Techmoan, not to bring him up again, but he demonstrates some of that the process of synchronizing things or
Yeah, most
timing them
people
correctly.
do tell me that function's only for DJs.
Or audiophiles.
I prefer to listen at quartz speed.
All right, another audio application that you did, Jinda, was called Mpdevil. Or am I saying
Yeah.
that right? Or is it
I think you're
Mpdevil?
saying it right.
Mpdevil?
I don't know.
Mpdevil?
Yeah, I don't know.
He said it does nothing.
Yeah, it pretty much did nothing. I couldn't get it to work. It installed. I just couldn't get it to do much.
Oh,
Was that a
that's
flat
sad.
pack?
Yeah, it was a flat pack.
Yeah, flat pack yet?
I just couldn't get it to really do anything.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure I did something wrong. I just didn't know what it was.
I wonder if some of these applications. Well, no, I was looking. They have been updated recently. I wonder if maybe they're just not. I wonder what's missing that would cause some of these things just not to work.
I think some of the problems is because I got a hotspot drive, and I think that it didn't. One of them I know didn't like that for sure. I don't know why. I don't know why some would and some wouldn't. Some of them, they also, when they started searching for music, I forget where they would crap out. I don't know what number it was, because the mass collection I had, the programs would just log off.
I wonder if
And-
some of these applications just had a hard time with you because of your massive collection of music. If that was
Yeah.
I have a massive collection too, but I chose not to use all of it and use just selected, well-curated
Yeah, that's what I
ones.
started doing with a lot of them because they just couldn't handle it. That's a good point. Thanks, Dan.
Now, Linux Ninja, he brought in the chat some time ago that he uses terminal players. He didn't give me a what terminal player, but he did say he uses terminal players. So I wonder has anyone here tried any terminal-based audio players? Imagine you probably would be watching movies in the terminal. Although it would be kind of cool to see like ASCII, graphics. I would get a kick out of that. Maybe Jinda's done such, or maybe Linux Ninja's done such a thing. And then the last one on the list here, Nuclear. Not really a fan of that name,
Neither was I.
unless it's power. I'm good with power, just not blasts. But he said it locked up. Jinda, you said it locked up when adding
Yeah.
music from the hard drive.
Yeah, it started locking up. I forget. I added 2 folders into it, and it started locking up on me. It just started giving me issues. This was a common theme though. Once I started pushing them, and you
So what
can
if
see which
it's-
ones I what.
I wonder if it's like has anything to do with maybe being a flat pack and or being your music collection. If that has something to do with it,
It could. I'm sure it could.
I would have really enjoyed hearing like what you did with the equalizer if you played around with that and then had to good effect or not. Does anybody here play with the audio equalizers on their systems to optimize the sound for their speakers. I just have little crappy speakers everywhere, so to me, the equalizer doesn't really do anything outside of just basic defaults.
I do. I play with the equalizers. I even played with the equalizers on our test subjects.
Okay.
I have Bose speakers for my rig, but
Okay.
They don't compare to these JBL good listening speakers. But yeah, I do tend to jack around the equalizers, especially old stuff that has really poor treble and really poor bass. I like to get some more punch out of the song.
Do you think that is an issue as much with digital music today as it was with the analog pressed music of days of old?
No, with days of old, especially old records, sometimes you would get lucky and get one that sounded really good. It depends what number in the pressing you got. If you got like one of the final last runs, that means the press was getting really weak and didn't make a good copy. And the treble would be kind of off a little, and the bass wouldn't be that great. Not only that, back then they used tape to record everything, and then they put tape on top of tape on top of tape to master, mix, and all that other stuff, and dub tracks. So you got a lot of background hiss they got to try and remove from the tape running across the tape head. That's something that digital equipment fixed.
There's the statement made that sometimes the modern equipment doesn't have as warm of a sound as the digital. Or like records had a warmer sound to them than what digital music has. I don't know if I
They
buy
had
that.
a crackly sound too. They had
Right.
a crackly sound as well.
If you like those things, that might be the warmth that they're talking about. That like sizzling bacon, but it's actually crackling records.
Yeah.
No, actually, when you buy a really a quality, good, brand new today record, they sound great on old equipment if they're done right. I mean, even though that the record itself somehow had a digital process in the middle where it was recorded, put into a computer, and the computer actually, when they were done tinkering with it, made a good stamping die. The sound is pretty good when it's done that way, if a care is put into it.
I remember many years ago when CDs first come out. The first thing that I remember, a friend that I used to work with saying that, there's no crackle, that it's nice and clean, that the sound is clean. But now you think about when you don't have the vinyl records around anymore, it's probably nostalgic or even probably sweet to our ears to hear that crackle once again. You know what I mean? So it's amazing when something goes away, you do tend to miss it a little bit, I suppose. And I think the sound quality is probably something you can't get on CD as opposed to analog record, I think. Would you think that's a correct statement?
I think it all depends on how much care they want to put in it. Here's a good example. I bought a record. It's called London Grammar. Okay, it's a three-piece group, of course, from England. The intro on their album is kind of in between electronic and instrumental, but you can tell when you download the MP3s from their website, from the record you just bought, there is crackling in the intro in the record. So in order to fix it, I'd use Audacity to actually remove the crackles in the intro, because you could tell it was ripped and then put back to MP3 to throw on the website.
Sravan,
I think that
you have a comment?
the name of the album is California Soul.
What do you have, Sravan?
I've not heard of VLC. Like, no one uses VLC here.
Well, the VLC is very common to use, and I use VLC all the time. So the intent was more to explore things you have no familiarity with. So, I mean, I'm sure everybody here has and uses VLC to some degree, and that's kind of my baseline or reference application. And maybe we should have brought that up to begin with. But VLC has, it's like the
Universal.
yeah,
Media
Universal does everything. Music player, I can count on it to do exactly what I want it to do every time without fail.
Like for me, I have not done any explorations last week because I've tried like several music apps when I was in college, like 7, 8 years ago, or even before that. But what I found are that I prefer apps which are like very well developed, very popular, because somehow these are like I can as you said, it's like tried and tested. It works always. They do what I wanted to do. I've used smaller apps and it's always paper cuts for me. Like anytime I use a smaller video player or a audio player, always death by paper cuts, and I always go back to the ones which I've used a long time. So that's why I'm probably very fixed on my ways I consume media. Currently I'm on Spotify, so I'm entirely on the Spotify ecosystem. I haven't talked about it here in this show, but it's like there's once you get used to a way like you're consuming media, it's very hard for me to change my habits.
Sure. Now, Mark said he uses some sort of a Spotify application as well, or you brought it up earlier, and I was going to.
Yeah, I just wanted to, during this exploration, I didn't have a lot of time this week, but the client that I wanted to use and verify that worked on Linux was Spotify, and yes, it works great. Part of the reason why I'm on that one right now is because my audio picks up when I go to my car, and we've got Apple CarPlay and all that. So now I've got it from phone to my my Amazon Echo device to Linux to everywhere. Didn't want to mention much about it because it's not open source, right? But it
no, they're also putting a lot of any money they get is going into lawsuits.
Yeah.
That's typical with a larger company.
Well, you know what? They're using copyrighted music on their platform without permission. So Universal Records is all over them. Warner Brothers is all over them, and so on.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I'm not really following up on that. I know there's always disputes. Companies are always suing companies. There was a graph I saw somewhere like who's suing who and how many lawsuits, and there's constantly lawsuits all the time. So to say one company's suing another, it's like, yeah, the sun went up today.
Well, also, all these companies
Lawyers
that
got
are
a lawyer.
suing each other have attorneys on their payroll in-house.
Right, they got to do something.
Yeah.
So I was looking
And
a quick
they're
search.
suing each other, they form business deals also with each other.
I'm sorry,
Like
say it again.
One division might be suing other division, but 2 other divisions are forming business deals.
Right,
It's a mess.
it is. I was
But
looking
again,
at.
it's a popular app, and it does work under Linux. That was what I wanted to verify.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Spotify app in the Snapcraft store as well as the Spotify app in FlatHub. But something in the Snapcraft store, they have a Spotify Qt app. It's not made by Spotify, but it's uses a Qt library and as opposed to whatever Spotify is using. I thought that was interesting.
It's no secret, that Spotify has a massively huge audience. I mean, all the kids are into it. It's they put it on their phones. You can pipe it through your car. It's pretty massive.
The Spotify Qt app is supposed to be an alternative that's lighter than the Spotify.
And I haven't mentioned this because I haven't tried this last week, but there's Spotify TY clients too, terminal players.
Oh, okay.
Like I think Linux Ninja brought up some terminal audio players. You have terminal clients for Spotify. Again, people have figured out how to put Spotify in their tiling window managers panels and Conky. I think you can put some Spotify in Conky too. Like
That's
people
cool.
are figuring out stuff to put Spotify everywhere.
That's very cool. So any other thoughts? So through this exploration of multimedia applications, or mostly audio, I guess, does it change any of your local music listening habits at all? Do you think any of these are going to make an impact?
I think that the trouble for me has always been that there's just so much choice.
Mhm.
It's good that there's choice, but for me, it's almost paralyzing choice. And so when I went looking for a music player, and I unfortunately didn't really manage to take part in this week's little challenge. I just couldn't settle on anything that I kind of liked, or that did the job for me. So I've gone back to just making sure that all my music is organized in my files and folders, and then if I want to play something, I'll open that folder and open in celluloid, and that's me done.
One of the features that I looked for is how easy is it to add album art. I know that Anna Rita, she claims she has OCD, or I like to call it CDO, and
CDO.
needs to have, well, it's got to be in alphabetical order. I mean, you can't have it out of alphabetical order.
That's right.
That she likes to have the album art in there. And some of these applications I couldn't very easily add the album art. Like, it was not like a right-click function. Like, my primary audio music application that I use is called Amberol. I've been using it for a long time, and I try others, but there's certain things that it does that I just happen to like better. Maybe I'm not as crazy about the layout, but the ease of adding album art and then getting lyrics and everything else is just so nice and convenient that I don't want to basically lose those features in something else. Also, really easy to edit metadata tags in the songs as well. So after doing this, do you think there are any others that you might want to try?
No, not really. Not for me.
No.
I think I chose the ones that I really would be interested in and taking a look at them, because I never gave them a really good look in the first place. I've installed them and said, well, I don't really like this, and moved on to another one.
Right. I want to try that Clementine, Strawberry. I just want to check those out. And also Quodlibet.
You'll like that.
Or
You'll like
Quodlibet.
Especially if you want to like pick songs out of your folder and just build a big long playlist.
Yeah.
And Clementine's great for that. And I think on the left column, they got at the bottom, you can get it to actually put the lyrics in.
Oh, that's cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Clementine has a phone app, which I use continuously.
Oh, okay.
So that you connect right to your computer and you can change them right on the fly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
For me, normally when I play a song, I just look it up in the folder and just double click it. My default music application has normally been MPV media player, and my default video is VLC. So normally that's how I normally play music. But after doing this little exploration, I might just find one that I like and make a few playlists. But don't forget, we did My Uzi as well, which has got some little playlists there that I'm still using. That's from, and I suppose if you don't have the music, you can add it into My Uzi anyway, just from YouTube. So that's pretty handy as well.
Right.
Excuse me.
So are there any things that interest you? Like, I know Sravan, I know you didn't have any that you contributed, but are there any of these songs, are there any of these applications that may have interested you at all? Or anybody else if they want to chime in?
For me, no.
No, that's fine.
I just use Spotify.
So for me, I'm really fond of VLC, and I've also used, what's this program? It's called Gnome MPV. I've used that as well, and it's been pretty cool. Once I have what I want, I'm pretty much satisfied, so I don't have to really investigate too much of anything else. And ever since starting on VLC over a decade ago, I've been very, very happy. I mean, I've done some pretty cool stuff with it, so yeah, I'm happy with it.
I do a lot of playlist creation with VLC for specific homeschool activities. So it's something that I use quite heavily.
Oh,
does-
Audacity as well.
Yes, Audacity's
Yeah.
good for editing, for sure.
I mean, I got something else. Hold up. I'm thinking of is it Audacious?
Audacious is one, yeah. I didn't try that one recently.
I like Audacious.
So if you bring up a good point. It's like I've been using VLC probably since I was like 10. It's like it's very hard to change to something which is like very drastically different. Like once you're using it for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's one of those things that why I like to do these explorations is just to try some other things out, because there might be something cool or new out there or something different that might suit a specific use case. Like if you're going to do maybe some, DJ some parties, there might be a better application for that. I know there's one out there for that, but I don't know what it's called offhand.
I use VLC for most of the heavy lifting. Like to play DVDs. It'll even play Blu-rays if you build it right from flat packs. If you get the VLC flat pack and you get the Make MKV flat pack, there's 3 other patch files that are also in flat pack that you install to make this all work. One of them you need is the Blu-ray Java menu, BDJ input. And man, VLC will just take right off and run Blu-rays right up to date. Of course, most of you guys think I'm nuts because it's old stuff. Nobody wants a disc anymore.
Mixed DJ software looks like one that does such. If you need
one thing about a tool able to handle multiple things is that you can have a common workflow for multiple things. You can have the same workflow for music. You can have a similar workflow for videos, DVDs, because it's the same tool, right? So that's one of the appeal of having like a tool which has a lot of features. It's not exactly KISS or Unix principle, but I would prefer things which do a lot of things. Or can do a lot of things, not do, like extensible things.
Okay. Well, I think that was fun. I enjoyed it. And we'll look at the time. All right, so on the menu for next week, we have a... Oh, hold on. I already messed this up. I'll make sure to cut that part out when I edit this. So coming up, we're going to have a distribution exploration. Not next week, but coming up in a few weeks. So I'd like, if you have any suggestions you'd like to throw in the hat, send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com, or you can tag distro exploration in the Telegram matrix or Discord, or even the Discourse forum if you like. On the menu for next week is our news flight, so we'll dig into some news topics. Yes, I see Linux Ninja, NixOS, but we did that one within the last year. Has something really changed?
Next weekend's news flight?
Yes. Next weekend is a news flight. And the week after, August 20th, there will not be a Linux Saloon.
That's what I was looking for, was the time you're not going to Saloon.
Yes. So the Saloon will be closed on Saturday the 20th of August for those in Eastern. I guess that'd be Sunday for those of you living in the future. Is that right? Sleepy? So no Saloon on Sundays. So prohibition on Linuxing, I guess.
You can't close the saloon.
Just one weekend.
That would never happen down under closing a saloon, I'm telling you right now.
There'd be a riot.
I learned some things. Today I learned some things from somebody who lives down under about playing pool and what happens if you don't get any balls in, and the consequences of the loser. But anyway, that's not for this. All right, so we don't have time for news. We're just going to go ahead and skip that. Thank you, Michael, for providing a great flight of news topics that I didn't use yet again. So there's that, and I had some things I want to talk about. But music, who would have thunk that we would have had such conversation about music?
Yeah, it was an awesome subject to talk about, is all the different players that are out there.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree.
Time.
All right. So some stuff to plug. Mark, the Atlanta Linux enthusiasts. Can I assume you're meeting tomorrow?
Yes. We We meet every Sunday, U.S. Time, U.S. Eastern Time, 3 to 6 p.m. It's a Linux users group that's online, and everyone's welcome. There is no set agenda. It's really more of a help session, and so you need to bring your Linux problems or questions and and discussions. You do need to keep the your topic on topic so that everyone is focused on getting you the results you want. Anyways, and you can find out more information on that at ale.org, ale.org. Thank you.
Excellent. So Steve's very own, I understand he's going to be doing the Coffee Clutch tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central.
He has it set, is coming up in his YouTube.
Yeah, I was going through withdrawals. I set a reminder for tomorrow. So hopefully that all goes well. Destination Linux is streaming tomorrow at 1 p.m., I think. I have high confidence it is. Linux User Space, they had an episode that aired, that's not the right word, that was published last week. So they will have another one, not this Monday, but next Monday. Linux Out Loud is a podcast I'm involved with. It comes out every Wednesday. I have my co-hosts, Wendy and Matt. We talked about the top 3 desktop features that we take for granted. And then for more stuff on me, go to cubiclenate.com. I do things. Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network. Check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com. I want to thank you all for being part of the conversation in both the Zoom meeting and on the YouTube stream, as well as everyone for watching the show after the fact. I want to thank everyone involved in making the Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back in our personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yas.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.